So whether someone works in the mental health field, or whether someone works in the court system or law enforcement, or whether someone is a therapist, or whether someone is an individual that deals with accidents out on the road, where they be DUIs, hit and runs, or others, when the sun is active and creates these geomagnetic storms, there are incidents down on the ground. Okay, it's pretty much a full-time subject of mine. Whether or not the grid goes down or not is relevant. Other things are relevant, but the most relevant in my life happens to be the influence over unrest. It could be unrest in the audience via trolls and comments, and it could be unrest in my own personal heart and body, and it can be unrest in the place in which I dwell or hang my hat. And right now was another night in which I'm going to be outside instead of being at home. I won't flip out this time, but that's what they didn't understand about why I got upset 1 month ago. I can't really talk about it in depth here, but to say that one day I would like to talk about it in depth. Sedona was recommended to me as a place to check out, and I would go to Sedona if I knew people in Sedona. I think that it would be a place that would be more receptive, because talking about solar flares is seen as crazy. There's a guy named Evan who's a regular on this channel, and he has also probably noticed within his own body increased desire for a partner and or romance and or basic, connection with another human being. And I notice patterns in society also in myself. Basically, libido goes up. And so he was talking about this. It's not the only thing, but he was talking about this in public. And I have a screenshot, and he was basically called schizophrenic. So I'm already going to be viewed as crazy, and crazy people that are viewed as mentally ill, just so you know, are viewed as dangerous. They're viewed as a threat. So being intelligent, being brilliant is seen as a threat, is seen as something to bully. Okay. So as far as the home front is concerned, I grab my stuff and I head to the door when there's an argument. And arguments take place like clockwork, not right as the geomagnetic storm necessarily is taking place, but usually in the hours after. And I might notice behavior from somebody else. I might notice something that's in the news. Something might upset me that gets me emotional, that gets me talking to this person, because I see this person as my friend. And so I'll ask this person for advice, and I'll often find, and I'll leave it at that, that's personal, and perceive that she's on the side of the people that hate me. And then I feel ganged up on, and I feel very alone. And I feel like there's a personality shift, that when I'm complaining about certain things, it seems that I'm being told that my content is worthless, that all I do is yell and shout and attack people. And that's not actually what my content is about. And so I'll notice that when the geostorms are active, things are said that are hurtful and basically hateful. All right. And then I'll say things in response and basically speak my mind. I'll call people vampires, energy vampires, and I will speak my mind when I feel that I've been misled and abused and have been set up for basically murder and death. I am being trolled by someone at this time. The last comment that they left was on a video in which I talked about homicides rising in 2025. So I don't know if they're trying to be threatening, but there are veiled threats coming through, okay, every day or so. And we'll just leave it at that. We'll just document, screenshot, and move on. But there is a dark presence. And right now, as we're going into this, like, you need to listen to what I'm saying. We're moving into a planetary alignment right now. Right now, like this second, like we just turned February 20th, 2025, and I'm about to turn 45. And this planetary alignment, which can amplify solar activity, which can amplify murder, possessions, rape, these types of things, I'm putting the warning on not only the next couple of weeks, but the entire year. Many people are in danger of the worst case scenario. God does protect. God also sends his children home, calls his children home. God works in mysterious ways. And so I sense that this is a massive spiritual time and a portal is opening And when this happens, darkness tends to fall into the earth and attacks the light. And I really wish that I had a refuge amongst you, the audience, a nook, a cranny, a couch, a vacation. I really wish that somebody was there for me in the audience to give me a vacation, because this is what traditional humans and bros did. They would couch surf. They would clink beers. They would hang out on the beach. There's plenty of heterosexual bro activities that we can choose from. It's amazing how gay people have turned. I just got to tell you that. People have turned very, very gay in our society, but very, very unfriendly as far as like heterosexual bromances. There's very little of that and a whole lot of flaming behavior. And that's not what I'm into. I'm very sensitive when there's flamers that are in my audience. I'm psychic and they know that. So I'm glad when they stay away when I tell them, you are to stay away if you swing that side. I don't appreciate it. We need an influx of heterosexual women. Okay, we need an influx of heterosexual women to counter the reality, not the perception, that many of them are serving evil. We can move into our next topic, which is evil women. We just hit the 666 mark, which is 612, as I said that. And so it is not in the best interest of any Pisces to go into a 5G environment like this during solar maximum and not expect to be emotional. And for others to expect me to be, I'm expected to not be emotional at this point in time. And that's not really possible. I'll also notice the phenomena of my phone's not working, my Skype not working, certain apps not working that can aid me in communication when these types of crises happen. So I assume that I could go home at any time, but being berated or yelled at through the door is instigation. And I basically have to flee into the cold and get somewhere warm to avoid confrontation. So a lot of domestic things spiral out of control. This is what I wish there was someone intelligent from law enforcement that wanted to learn about crime prevention and understanding patterns and crime statistics from a scientific perspective, not necessarily psychic, but from a science perspective. And there was one police chief that did say that he would read my books so I bring them to him, but my books aren't free. I would have to buy the books on Amazon, have them printed out. And it's maybe best that I leave him alone, because I don't get the vibe that even though he was nice to me, that they really want me to show up dropping my books off because I'm not a cop. I want to help the cops. I want to be deputized. I want to be deputized for the end times as an officer to protect and serve and to help people that are currently officers come to the light and come away from that psychology that has one foot saying that they're in the law and the other foot playing with the criminal underworld, and using basically the law to do things to people to control, not necessarily like fight human trafficking. And so we're going to be dealing with a lot of major changes in this country in 2025. We are dealing with the solar flares in the authoritarian crackdown, which means that there's a lot more law enforcement, federal, round them up, take them up, lock them up, abuse them in the jail cell, put your knee on the back and kill them types of behavior. The whole George Floyd thing took place when the solar flares were absolutely massive. And then the protest that took place after massive solar activity of the 29th of May. Meaning, it's because of the solar activity, folks, that people were that upset. People like what happened to him happen all the time. Okay, unfortunately, and to people in the Middle East, but people typically don't care unless the media plus solar flares or some animating effect is thrown on the fire, so to speak. My observations about the solar flares, it's a topic that I expanded on for an hour on the main Surname channel, but I can continue since two of you are here. You might feel an increased desire for pleasure, to eat. And I'll notice that a lot of people are so dumbed down, they refuse to look at what I'm saying about the solar flares. They refuse to develop pattern recognition, right? So there's one guy that I talk to once in a while. His name's Gypsy Fox. Likes my channel, But a lot of the content you can't watch because it goes above his head, and he's also a van dweller. But all of the content, and he's watched me for years, about the solar stuff, he thinks is crazy, and is basically that the sun is, I think, is like a product of the Illuminati. He doesn't really get into like the earth is flat, but like there's no connection with this person on the solar stuff. Now, if we want to talk about paranormal, ghosts, psychic self-defection, anything that comes at me, back to the times 3, magical talk. He's all about that. Being a mystical Jew, he's all about that. Candles during the Christmas time, Hanukkah, he's all about that. But when it comes to talking about solar flares affecting human consciousness, it is the most bizarre thing. It's like I took a poo-poo. And he's like, bro, you need to kick that shit down the drain. That's funky. And so when you live in a world where it's admitted, just talking about that as perspective, labels one a kook, is very difficult on the stress receptors. Can I get a bowl of marijuana? I just thought I would ask. Because you should know. You should know by now. You should know by now. Sorry, sometimes I listen to a lot of rap in the early mornings. That if you're intelligent and you're suffering, can I get a like? And you're seemingly talking against a brick wall, stress goes up, and the need to relax with friends, family. I spend a lot of time sending my mother love. She spends hours watching my podcasts and videos right now. There's never any type of, though, out of every video that I scream and shout, any type of feedback from her that I hit the nail on the head with regards to the sun. So let's go back to that. It is as if the people that refuse to develop pattern recognition, oh, he's right. He really has talked about crime in the sun a lot. We really do now see a lot of crime when the sun is active, trolling, hateful behavior, possessed behavior. And that's the main thing. We're entering into a period right now as I'm speaking with something called a planetary alignment. And I'm seeing signs of mass possessions. It's here. It's arrived. There's also the potential that angels are arriving too on the earth. Don't want to get your hopes up. They could also be fallen angels that are designed to look like angels. Could be Project Bluebeam. But I am noticing pictures that one person filmed of what appears to be like, they said, that's Our Lady. So I don't know whether it's, which one is Our Lady that they're referring to exactly. Some sort of feminine deity that has the veil and the cloak. And so I'm not sure what that is, but I am, thank you for the like, I am praying to the angels. And I like the song Fly to the Angels by Slaughter as well. Fly to the angels. All right, not time for karaoke. Emily Rowland was never a big fan of my karaoke hours. And so I wish in a parallel life that I was involved in law enforcement in a better world where law enforcement was less corrupt and murderous. Okay, there's constantly stories coming out in the news about cops going to jail for murdering people in jail. Locally. There was one guy I met who was put into the local jail here and then attacked viciously. He was forced to fight. And once they got him to throw a blow, then they pounced on him and just beat him into the ground. They forced him to fight. They made him stand up. And so he was so traumatized by whatever happened to him that we had almost a falling out, basically. Because I'm like, bro, I get that, but don't talk about fighting the cops like that. That's what they want. The evilest world wants conflict. Don't even go on that route. It's about the evil of this world. Bro, I'm sorry what happened to you, but don't let what they did to you cause you to stay in this dark place. Well, he didn't like what I said to him, and he stopped talking to me. That's his right. He also kept my book, Solar Wars. That's not okay, but he wasn't well in the head. And so it's important for people in authority, people that are outlaws also, that are genuine outlaws, that are living the wild life, to understand that there is a lot of Wild West criminal behavior, violent behavior, psychopathic behavior that tends to occur when the sun is active. But yet the participants in that said behavior don't believe that the sun is either real or that there's a solar violence impact or connection. In fact, they think that that's crazy and kooky, and might think that anyone that thinks like that is so woo-woo that they should be messed with, locked up, detained. You need help. You're perceiving. And so all the years of people saying that I need help, and then we have Evan, who's in my audience, saying that he was called schizophrenic for talking about the solar flare effects. And so there's a certain amount of people that are just going to berate me for being intelligent and for having light. There are certain people that will come and insult me just to get me to go back and forth with them when I'm not even talking to them, not even thinking about them, but sleeping in my bed. Then I get up from bed, get online, I'm like, what the hell is this crap? I'm just trying to live my life and educate people around the world with regards to these major changes that are taking place. So we're going to see massive things take place in the coming hours and days and weeks with this planetary alignment. I also lost in 1 week 3 paying members from my Substack. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? I did something right. I've never supported Donald Trump. I've never thought Elon Musk was part of the solution. I always called them out, and Biden. And I'm pretty sure nobody likes Biden who's in my, I don't know anybody that likes Biden, but they're out there. And so I have been, ladies and gentlemen, consistent. But what will happen is people will develop an intolerance with me where previously for weeks they had tolerance. Because of what? The energy. There's something going on with race relations being toxic and this planetary alignment. It's not a kumbaya period at all for race relations. It's the opposite. It's a dark period. Hello, fourth viewer. Good to see you. And so with the lineup of these planets, pay attention if I have any students out there. Apparently, some of you are actually learning from me. Is there any way some of you that are more on the good nerd side, nerd, we need some good nerds out there to pay attention to the types of news that unfold in the coming hours and days. This includes extreme weather events. This includes stories about police chiefs killing themselves and or killing others. These things are in the news right now, not so much killing others, but killing themselves. And so I'm going to be writing a blog for law enforcement regarding suicide prevention, right? It goes way beyond anything you've ever heard from the mainstream Blue Lives Matter crowd. And it's basically just a piece of advice, right? If you're going to involve yourself in certain professions, you could find yourself blamed by the public, blamed by your employers for not being able to stop certain types of crime when there's a reason the crime wave is out of control. And cops on the ground, they're at the lower end that never learned this stuff in school, could really benefit from learning about the crime wave stuff and why some people are going kooky, why some people might sound like the ultimate warrior all of a sudden, and they're prepared to go at it with the devil, which is what I declared. That I'm strong, I'm loud, I'm vocal, and I want to see the decapitation of El Diablo. That's why I declared loudly with full volume outside the Mexican market. And that was a month ago. That was what I yelled. Nothing about any human being, but the evil. We just saw 3 likes go down to 2. But that's okay. We might just still be at 2. Okay. So we're living in this world of craziness. There's also an increase in cyber attacks and hacking and things of that nature when we see an increase in solar flares. And so me talking about this as my main issue has marginalized me as a crazy person. And Evan's one of the first, but I have a very small audience, to even talk to me from the audience side about trying to reach out to other people and talk to them about solar flares. He also said that he was seen watching me on YouTube, and a woman that he was talking to immediately stopped talking to him. Demons in human form won't necessarily know why they hate certain human beings when they set their eyes on them. It's not always a racial thing, but to the lower level creatures that are in human form, it very much is a racial thing in their mind. But it's really demonic for them to hate people that look a different way, that have certain features, for them to be so obsessed with the giants and the Nephilim. I was actually listening to Sufi Realities, and he talks about the Creator putting different types of forms of life on the planet in the past, or different forms of life living here, including that which some call the Titans or the giants, and those that worship the giants. And so even from his understanding, he also talks about this Nephilim giant worship, and it is anything but spiritual. Okay. And so we have this reality where when the sun is active, we see an explosion in energy, which can be used for good, but unfortunately, for people that are victims of trolls and bullying, bullies and trolls are way more active when the sun is active, but they're not themselves, but the demons are. They're not themselves going, solar flares are here. Hey, he's super psychic and sensitive. There's a planetary alignment. This is the moment to turn on the hate. This is the moment to turn on the hate. They're not necessarily thinking like that, but they're acting on an autopilot. Back to the women. Women have too much power in this society that they can create an adverse situation that through an argument during solar flares, they take the keys or they throw the keys or create an unrest situation during solar flares that causes some sort of a fight or flight situation that more often than not, leads to drinking. And which I'm not. Can you hear me now? But with mainstream America, mainstream people, especially in a reality where marijuana is illegal, many people will go to drink, not because they're criminal masterminds, but because of the solar flares. Can I get a like? Don't be cheap now. High five. Don't leave me hanging. And so with the increased solar flares, you have testosterone, you have arguing. It's argumentatively, because it's on the downslope and people aren't getting along, much worse because of the solar flares. However, if there was passion, lovemaking, playing games, festive behavior, the energy during solar storms could be very, very high. Physical pleasure and intimacy, very, very high. Overcoming erectile dysfunction, likelihood, very, very high if you're taking care of your health on other levels. So again, I am here late at night. I can simply talk about something unfortunate that happened online and the hateful stuff that's happening and basically be shut down. And then I might speak back against that and what's being said, speak my mind, and then be told things that are basically very insulting and inflammatory about how my work has no value, this stuff. So when I ever do find alternative places to live other than the street, I will. But I don't think, and I don't think that you should think so either, that I would do very well in the street nor here, remaining here. It's a bad thing. And there isn't an alternative waiting for me at this exact moment in time. It would have to be worked for. It would have to be accrued. And this is taking place at a time in which it's more expensive than ever to live in America. I don't have a passport, but if I knew people in Europe, and if there was an off-grid community in Europe or somewhere where I can go where it would be long-term, then I would make a move and leave physical belongings behind. And I was told by a psychic to leave this place and go to Europe, but to talk about it. But it's too late to never talk about it, but just make the move. She should have been psychic enough to realize that. She also tried to send me in the direction of what seemed to be a Trump cult. So I'm going to be hesitant to think that somebody's that psychic if they're sending me in the direction of a Trump cult when they know that I've got all these issues with closet white supremacists. basically. And so I will deal with people that will unsub from me in my members area when I get too deep in these issues. They'll think I'm crazy and shit. 3 people unsubbed in a single week that were members. Was it something that I did that was wrong? No, I'm doing something right. What's going to happen is it's going to get too hot in the kitchen, and it's going to be a combination of them hearing me talk, plus they're feeling the solar flares of God hitting them. That's a lot of crap to deal with at the same time. So if you're a demon, there's no way you could sit in the same room as me. You can only handle a few minutes at most. Only people of angelic frequencies. That's why it was very, very hard for those people at that hospital to even look at me. Like, there were people that looked at me that had that angry, I want to fight you look in their eyes, that were like, why are you hurting me? You're bright, dude. You're really bright. And that's where I'll go with it, not racial. Oh, wow, you look like the people that I killed overseas. And it could have been a little of that. It's like, wow, you're really bright. Why am I feeling this feeling around you? That you're like a threat to my demons. And that was very real. And so that's what we have to own. When the solar flares rise, if you're a light being and you're from the sun, you're going to activate, and you're basically going to be like a fireball. You're going to be like that little girl of Firestarter from that 1985 film. And it's like a fire that burns demonic entities. And it's like nails on the chalkboard every time you and I speak to those demons. If in fact you're on the light side and you're not a demon yourself who falsely believes that you like God when you're actually into the archonic religions. Remember, there's a reason why I get into the Gnostic stuff. Okay, not all believers in the official Orthodox Yahweh religions are following the true God. As a contrarian, as your attorney, you're not going to get me to fit inside the box of the Orthodox archonic religions that got us in this genocidal blueprint to begin with. There will be no bowing. There will be no respecting of the archonic order. Okay, not my 20th year. I have passed my 20th year of public speaking, and I've become a lot more calmer in recent years. But when evil is rising and I see it, I have used my vocal cords to scream loudly. And right now, I want to rechannel that energy that can scream very loudly into typing, into meditation, into dissertation, into motivation, into video editing, into writing books. And taking the experience of last month where I was having a quarrel at home and realizing that these things that take place lead to bad situations. And I find myself feeling very, very hated. So I am very, very desperate and interested in moving from this region. There aren't any offers coming in right now. There was one from one person for a while who talked about it, but I was very hesitant because his Trump worship was so over the top. And there's a history that I have with people offering help when they're actually more or less Agent Smiths of the Matrix, if you catch my drift. And they can be like really, really nice for years. People like, hey, I'm your fan. I'm your best friend. Hey, pull you out of a ditch. Come on over. Like, till you get alone with them. So you have to be very hesitant when you're a dependent and you're traveling to any type of moving in and staying with someone's couch when you can be kicked out the next week. And so 2025 is a volatile year for earth changes, wars, racial attacks. Someone can easily get shot for looking Palestinian. And then somebody just left a comment where I'm talking about the increase in homicides, basically trying to instigate fear in me that they might kill me, because they're specifically choosing to comment in certain ways using certain keywords. Flee for your life. Maybe you should move. You've made a lot of enemies here. All these texts I've received the last couple of days. Okay. Can I get a like? Can I get an amen? Now, I'm open to open up a live chat if you've got something to say, but typically things are pretty quiet for these chats. even if there's going back and forth, to be honest with you, there are some moments in which all I want to do is have some fun. I've got a feeling I'm not the only one. There's certain moments in which I just want to talk to people. And the only reason that I do these YouTube videos, which is just strange, is because I don't have any real friends or allies. When I try to talk to the person that I live with, I feel and perceive that I'm yelled at. And I perceive that I'm being told to get out. And I'm not currently audio recording myself. And so I'm feeling attacked and that my life's in danger. Okay. Like just living here and being a light being. And so, this is one of a trillion SOS calls to anybody that may come across my content. Can you please consider involving yourself in the Underground Railroad and helping the slave escape? Can you please, one of the 4 watching now, involve yourself in the new Underground Railroad and help this slave escape? I'm tired of feeling like I am a pet. I am tired of seeing my cat living in the conditions that it's living in, because this is not a cat-friendly situation. And so years of pain that I've gone through over what the cat is going through. The cat can't sleep with me because of an allergy issue. And so there are some lifestyle issues that the cat is coping with that weigh on my soul. And it has to do with this lifestyle here that's not right for the cat, whereas off-grid was right for the cat. But the cat's life was threatened when it was off-grid. There was a person that told the cat that it would kill the cat if it saw the cat again, because the cat was on the neighbor's lot or property, probably digging into its marijuana garden, because cats tend to shit in that type of environment. And so it's good if my cat is safe that I'm here. What's not good is what's going on behind the scenes. Okay. And so right now the temperatures are under 20. They're very cold. One of my tires is low on air. And unless I was in a warmed garage, I wouldn't be able to comfortably pump in the fresh air that I need. I went to Denny's and there was a new waiter there. And he said that I couldn't sit there and just use the internet. It was against the rules. So I decided to, go to McDonald's. I'm cold right now. I don't know where I'm going to go. I can't really go anywhere outside. All I can really do is go back and shut my door. But basically, like this is the nightmare that I walked into in the last 6 months to 9 months. The solar cycle is ramped up, and with that comes the unrest. And I am the only person that really takes this information seriously. And I cannot live in an environment sanely where I only hear negative things about myself. I'm going to get vocal when I face oppression or see horrible things in the news. It's part of my Piscean personality, and I'm feeling persecuted for being an emotional Pisces. Like, this is the type of person that I am without marijuana. This is how it is. This is the man that I am without marijuana. This is how it is. Thank you for watching, guys.